Dear viewers, thank you very much for play this video. I have appeared in front of you again today. Today I will present a motivational video for beginners. My topic today is about how to use Blender for animation movie and basic concepts of animation. Watch this video carefully and you will benefit even a little bit. If you are new to my channel, be sure to subscribe. What's new in Blender? Here are all the new features, tools and functions you need to know before you download and try it out. When the Blender Foundation talks about new release, they sometimes use the abbreviation 2.93 is the fourth release in the 2.9x series of Blender and the first to be labeled as an release. The outliner now shows the camera icon for render visibility by default, which should reduce confusion for beginners. Now, if only older blend files would import hidden layers as disabled or hidden collections rather than being disabled from view with the monitor icon, which is hidden by default. Be sure to reload factory settings when you update if you want to see the new defaults. The file browser now supports the view selected operator hotkey number pad period, which will scroll to selected files. On Windows, temporary windows like the render viewer or drivers editor are now drawn on top of the main window. This means that you can quickly work between the two without Alt plus Tab. While not an aesthetic type UI change, a very helpful one is the new menu option, Copy Full Data Path, that you will find when you right click on any property. This will give you the full Python path to the property as opposed to copy data path, which doesn't include the object or material information. You can now mute any node connection by dragging over it with Ctrl plus Alt plus RMB, similar to how Ctrl plus RMB will cut the connection and Shift plus RMB will combine and add reroutes. This is much more useful than muting nodes because you can be much more specific about what data is being passed through. Curves have a new taper mode that changes how taper objects affect the radius of the curve. Proportional editing now has a more accurate fall off when using the connected mode. The subdivision surface modifier now has more options for how to smooth the object's UVS. The default option of keep boundaries is usually fine, but I find that keep corners works better for unwrapping many hard surface assets like the below skateboard from the fundamentals of texturing. To see exactly what it's doing to the UVs, turn on modified edges in the UV editor's overlay menu. The mirror modifier has a new bisect distance option which determines how close a vertex can be from the cut and still be merged as the center. Blender now supports selecting non-manifold edge loops. This is one of those seemingly smaller changes that flew by under the radar that is actually quite useful. Previously, you could not select an edge loop that connected more than two face loops, such as the inside of the circle below. Now you can note this is not an endorsement of creating a strange topology like this, and the example is strictly for entertainment and educational purposes only. There are so many geometry nodes updates that they get their own section. There are several new nodes that enable way more possibilities than the system's first debut in Blender. The attribute proximity node can be used to find the distance between one piece of geometry and another. The distance output gives a value for how far each vertex is from the closest vertex of the target, and the position output gives the exact coordinates of the closest vertex. In the below example, I use it to build up some dirt or snow around the other objects in the scene. Attribute sample texture gives a value for every pixel of a texture, which can be used to create cool effects like scaling instance spheres up or down to create an old school dot printed image. Attribute remove, as the name implies, helps clean up attributes that are no longer needed in order to save memory. Attribute convert allows you to change the attribute from one type to another, such as from a flat single number to a vector set of three numbers. Attribute clump, attribute separate xyz, and attribute map range work the same way they do in the shader editor, except with attributes. The new bounding box node finds a box with the same dimensions as the object, so that some calculations that don't require information from every face can be made significantly faster. Collection info can be used to get the geometry of all objects in a collection. You can add one of these to the geometry nodes editor very quickly by simply dragging and dropping a collection from the outliner. This is viewport node outputs true when rendered by the viewport and false for the final render. This is useful for having different values for each scenario, like how the subdivision modifier has separate labels, values for viewport and render. Points to value creates little volumetric spheres around each vertex, which could be useful for all sorts of dynamic effects like moving clouds or simple smoke. Volume to mesh can be used in combination with points to volume node or any other volume data to create a mesh in the same shape as the volume. If there is any mistake in my video, please comment. Any comments will make my way easier. Your valuable comments will motivate me to make new videos. Thank you for watching my video. Like and subscribe my channel. See you again next tutorial.